du hva, jeg setter meg her, Egil. Jeg kan sitte her og høre på deg snakke litt først, så kan jeg komme på.
Wow. I've spoken publicly many times before, but I don't think I've spoken for this many people ever. So forgive me if I'm a bit nervous. It's a great honor for me to, for the 4th year now, have been heading the audience awards jury. But it's important to emphasize that the main work with this prize and setting it up and organizing all the background and carrying out the in-depth interviews and preparing all the material is Ingrid's work. The jury have had such a solid foundation to work on, thanks to the work that Ingrid has been doing. And the jury is really, now I understand, kind of filtered in as a sort of core part of Audiences Norway's organization and strategy and work. I'm so impressed with everything you do, and I'm amazed. I'm running a little organization myself, and I probably get just half done what you've compared to Audiences Norway. I want to reflect a bit on what we've seen since I've been now. I God knows how many applications I've been involved in now over these last 4 years. I haven't actually counted, but it must be sort of 30, 40 at least, maybe even 50. So I want to reflect a bit on what we've seen and what kind of development we've seen over the years. I feel now that we're seeing a really steady professionalization in this area in Norway. And this year we can also, from several of the nominees, see a clear impact in terms of significantly increased audience numbers. And that is very rewarding, I think. And I think that Audiences Norway does not have a small role to play in this, actually. And I think that, come back to the political situation in a moment, but audience development is truly escalating up the agenda in Norway within the cultural and arts organizations that we're looking at. And I think that is really, to a large degree, thanks to Audiences Norway. So I think we should give an extra applause to Ingrid, for that,
I thought he was going to introduce the categories.
The categories are coming, don't worry.
But, okay.
I want just, if I get the opportunity, I'll ramble on.
Okay, thank you.
Politically speaking, and Ingrid talked about this already, and we've seen this in other countries as well, audience development kind of goes up and down on the cultural policy agenda. It was really hot as a hot cultural policy objective some years ago when Audiences Norway was founded. Now it has faded somewhat. And I think this is sad and unfortunate, since in my view, audience development is basically about operationalizing the highest cultural policy objective of them all, namely to democratize culture. But I believe, as evidenced in the material we have seen, and the evidence in the material that the jury have examined, audience development and an increased audience focus are becoming at the center of more and more organizations. And before I introduce the categories, they're coming, don't worry. I want to say a tiny bit about cultural leadership. Because what becomes apparent to the jury is that audience development in many organizations have to start with or are closely entwined with organizational development. There's nothing new about that. We've heard about that for years. But it's really evidenced in our material. I think that's really, really interesting. The audience shift that we often see, or that we've seen in many of the cases, is often preceded by the entrance of a new director or some other senior figure who's coming in and changing things in the organizations and placing the audiences more at the core compared to previously. And I believe that cultural leadership is really what the cultural sector needs. And it's complex. Cultural leadership today is very complex. One has to strive to be artistically and aesthetically innovative and excellent. One has to make sure that one is relevant for the surrounding community and stakeholders. And will also have to relate to a cultural policy agenda, which changes and becomes more and more instrumental. And that's why I think, which some other people are going to talk about on another point during the conference, is that audience development cannot be reduced to marketing. It is part of the core of an organization, and that's what we see in so many of these cases, which is exciting, I think. Now, Now I'm getting to the categories. There's been a change this year. The last 3 previous years, there have been just 1 prize. This year there are 4 prizes. And we do that really in order to be able to demonstrate the diversity and the variation in audience development practice. Within each category text, there's a sentence for each category that I'm going to read out to you. There is one term that is repeated again and again, and that is beyond expectation. To win the prize, or to even be nominated for the prize, it's not sufficient to do what is expected. One needs to excel beyond that. So now I'm getting to the categories. Category number 1, in order to win that one, it's called best practice increasing. The winner have to demonstrate significant increased amount of audiences by a targeted approach to audience development. We talk a lot about diversity, and diversity is really important, reaching new segments. But we also, and the jury agrees with me, bumps on seats are also important. And it is actually important to get more audiences in general and to get them to come more frequently. And that is what that first category is about. The second one is what we call best practice deepening. In order to win that, one needs to demonstrate a dissemination of its offers and products beyond expectation in light of its mission, capacity, and resources. And we've had some lively discussions in the jury about this one, because it is pegged on a term, a Norwegian term, or Scandinavian term called formidling. And one is going to be good at formidle. And that is a word that, number 1, it can't be translated to English. It's not used in English. Number 2, I think also in a Norwegian context, one can interpret that term in different ways. We have discussed the prize informed by a broad definition of the term, and we have emphasized a broad way of making one's product offerings relevant and deeper to wider and specific audience groups. To me, that one is very much about being relevant. Okay? Third one, best practice diversifying. I quote, the winner needs to be able to demonstrate efforts beyond expectations in light of its mission, capacity, and resources in reaching out to more diverse audiences in socio-demographic terms. So that's where diversity comes in. And where the increasing category looked at sale and engagement in general, here it's about reaching out to new segments. And again, beyond expectations. And it should also be said that most of the organizations that are nominated in that category also have seen an increased level in general. Then we have the last one. And I think that is your idea, isn't it?
Everything is mine.
I will negotiate a little bit. It's called next, it's not best practice, it's next practice. And the winner here should be able to demonstrate ambitious, innovative, and promising initiatives with the aim to reach one or more of the above-mentioned goals, the other 3. So I'm being really ambitious, innovative, and promising in increasing, deepening, or diversifying. Here we are not really necessarily looking at projects that has been evaluated yet. It's about giving a reward to those who are willing to risk something, willing to go new ways in their audience development, informed by new methods, new tools, new approaches. And here we will premiere those that are a little bit crazy, perhaps, and done some crazy things. And another thing, the organization that wins here, which you will get to know tonight, they are candidates that we will keep a close eye on in the years to come. Winning this category commits. So, thank you for your time. Now, Ingrid is going to explain what's going to happen in the next 2 hours, which is a bit complex, I think, some logistics. So, over to Ingrid. Thanks.
Okay. So, yeah, the last category is about having ambitions without being able to prove whether they actually worked or not, yeah? So, yeah, and we're going to follow, keep an eye on those. So what happens now is that you can speed date the different 12 nominees. Since we have this 2 languages thing, one of the nominees in the next practice category, trap, Keys to the City. They offer a workshop over at PS Hotel in the conference room that runs for the whole period of time of the 2 hours between 2 and 4. And people, visitors that are only English speaking have priority on that one. And it's already full, I'm afraid. So those who know they have registered and got feedback, they can go over to PS Hotel with me when I leave the room, with everybody going to PS Hotel after this. English-speaking people who didn't get into that workshop can go and do something really exciting. Try out immersive experiences around the corner here with Christian Haaland from Dansens Hus. Test the VR equipment that he has. Christian is also talking about immersive experiences tomorrow, and so that could be a quite good alternative, actually. For everybody else who will go and visit the 11 nominees that will do their presentations in Norwegian, and we do this because we know it's easier to share knowledge among institutions in Norway if we can speak our mother tongue together. They will be in different rooms, and the idea is that they present 2 times, so that one group of audience stays in one room for 1 hour, from 2 to 5 minutes to 3, actually, to be quite accurate. And then you leave the room and you go to another room and visit another 2 or 3 nominees. So each and every one of you can visit 2 rooms with between 2 and 3 nominees. Is this at all clear to you, that you will move? Okay. Who did not get it? Is there anyone who finds this? No, I thought it was quite difficult to understand myself. Okay, good. So they are divided according to the categories, but as you just said, several of the nominees are nominated in different categories, so we just try to kind of divide you around. So you have not been registering for these sessions, so you are free to walk around. And what happens in each and every session is that every nominated organization presents for 10 minutes. So if you are in a session with 3, you will have half an hour of presentations. Then you can walk up and just talk, like one-to-one conversation. This is a kind of experiment, so we're not quite sure how it's going to work, but the idea is that the 3 or 2 presenters in the room sits in different parts of the room, and you can actually go up there and talk to them. There will be one facilitator in each room helping out to make this happen. So Egil will be in this room with Øka mest, the increase panel. And I will go over to PS Hotel with a diversifying group, which is, well, I didn't say who they were. Do I need to do that? Should I? Maybe I should. So in this room we have Henny Onstad Arts Center and NOSO, Arctic Arts Symphony, Nordnorsk Symphony, Opera og Symfoniorkester, and Stormen, I guess. I have to take off my glasses and see, actually, because I don't remember. Stormen, that's right. So you stay here. At Mathallen 1, there will be the deepening category with Pantarei Dance Theatre and Bergen Public Library. And Matitz will go with them. Are you here, Matitz? Then you have diversifying, inkludera flest. I will go with them. And the organizations in that room will be Festspillene i Nord-Norge, Tabanka Dance Ensemble, and Fubiak, Furuset Bibliotek og Aktivitetshus. And then in the next practice room, Danby will follow you to Mathallen 2. There are 2 rooms upstairs at Mathallen. And there you can meet Nordnorsk Kunstmuseum, Sørlandets Kunstmuseum og Oslo Filharmonien. So then I think we should just start moving around. So for the next 2 hours, you are free to interact and walk around and Speed date.